So I got let's see here. I have the bowl. I did my steaming on it and it came out good. You know, it's really not a huge improvement, but the only thing I'm going to do right now I'm going to try to fast forward through this as much as possible is I'm going to give it a very light sand, and in addition to the sanding, I'm talking with 800 grit here. I don't think anything heavier than that is warranted at this point. I'm going to sand with a very well worn piece of 800 grit everything I need to sand on the bowl, which is basically the entire surface pretty much, and I'm going to give it a very light stain. I'm not positive yet if I want to do the contrasting stain. I'm just not sure about that. I want to think about that. I don't know if that's period correct or not for this thing. Maybe it is. Maybe, you know, even just a brown stain will give its own contrast. It will. So let me work on sanding this bowl, and I will cut to the bowl being sanded and the first stain, whatever that shall be, in a moment. Okay. All right. So we've sanded now almost everything to 800 grit. I went around the stampings, even though it's 800 grit. I still don't want to reduce them too much. As far as the top of the bowl, very lightly 800 grit. Now, I should be staining at a lower, but I honestly think that because of the existing stain that's on this pipe, I think it's going to be just fine. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm just trying to do an orbital pattern here to make sure there's no sanding lines. Oh yeah, we're good to go. So, I'm just going to take a Q-tip here. Not Q-tip, a big old fuzzy pipe cleaner. I just get the dust off them first. I got some Cordovan, which is like a super duper dark brown leather dye. You know what, let me put some gloves on. All I'm going to do, I'm just going to throw some Cordovan dye on it and see where the color takes me. If I need to darken up the rim at all, I always have black, I always have moccasin, I always have all these other colors that I can darken it up with. Just touch that up. Alright, so it's just been a few minutes, and all I did was I just took a paper towel and I just wiped off any of the excess stain. So my plan right now is to go over this with, I would normally go to 1000 grit, but let's just jump up to 1500 grit. I'm going to do like a little sanding sponge thing here. I'm not even going to get a sponge. I'm going to actually just take a piece of paper towel and just keep folding it to make a little sanding sponge. And let's just, I do this, I do this, so I make a little packet, and that's like a nice little sanding sponge now. And I'm just going to give it a very light sand. Alright, in case anybody's interested, I'm going to start doing the Tripoli buff just to see what happens. And if I have to go back to sanding or whatever, I can do that. It doesn't really matter. It's, you know, this is an organic process. It's nothing follows a rule book, you know. So the long and short of it is, this is just a 3/4 horsepower motor. This is the Beal wood buffing system with, I've really gotten these buffs broken in the way I wanted them over the last couple of years. Let's just get the motor started. We're going to start with Tripoli, go to White Diamond, and then see what it looks like, all right? I'm going to sand this thing down a little bit, and we are going to go to a lighter stain. Alright, so I sanded everything back off with 800 grit and some spots 400 grit, but I brought it back up to 400 everywhere. Let's try a lighter stain now. Let's try buckskin. I think buckskin's going to be the one I want. It's really funny how different Breyer accepts. I've done Cordovan on a lot of pipes, and this was the darkest it ever looked. See, when this buffs up, see how you can see the bird's eye now? That is going to show off the grain when it's complete. And let's give it another buff now. I sanded it up to 1500, so I just did 400, 800, 1000, 15, and it's only been a couple minutes. Let's do the Tripoli buff now. Oh yeah, this is much better. This is what I wanted. I can tell already. Let's see here. See that? And you can actually see the grain. See? None of the words came off. And we are now ready for the white diamond stage. And where is white diamond here? White diamond. Look at that. You can still see all the grain. She's shiny, she's smooth, she's scratch free. It's not about pressure when you're buffing. So it's about the movement itself. Like, now, let's put some wax on it now. Now the waxing step, you can actually put multiple layers on, but there is a point of no return where there's not enough. You can't put any more wax on it. You know what I mean? So let me just see if I can't get the camera a little more in focus there for you. So. See that? Let me get a little more, just a drop more wax on this. With the waxing wheel, you go over and over and over and over your work multiple times, and you'll notice more and more wax gets deposited. It's actually burnishing the wax onto the surface. You know, it's driving the wax in, and the friction is melting it, and then it polishes the surface smooth. So the more times you do this, the smoother the finish will be, given that your actual surface finish is good, you know. Okay, I think we're done. Alright, so here's the result of the work on the bowl. All the stamps are still there. It says France down there. It's not focusing on it. I don't know why. It still says Algerian briar. And this has no shellac or anything. This is just the buckskin dye and, you know, various grades of sanding, buffing, and waxing. It came out nice. I'm happy with it. What a difference, though, huh? From the pile we started out with. Isn't this really pretty? Just a little bit of elbow grease. Really, really, honestly, not that much work. I mean, that's going to be one beautiful pipe when I put the stem on it. So the next sets of videos you're going to see are going to be about the stem. Tell me I scratched that in my pocket coming up here. Yeah, I did. So the next steps of the video are going to be doing the stem and repairing the button and all that stuff. So all right, we'll see you soon.